Okay, welcome back to Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, and here we go. College football playoff time. My college football playoff prediction video. Um, all four of these teams, Michigan, Bama, Texas, Washington, has all seen spurts of adversity this season. They've all seen spurts of greatness and everything in between. Um, I think I never spoke on it before, but I think the committee definitely got it right. It got the four best and most deserving teams into the playoff. Some might argue Georgia would probably whip at least two of these teams, maybe. Some might argue, in favor of Ohio State. You know, could beat at least two of these teams, maybe as well. But I think the committee did a good job getting these four in. I think these definitely were the four most deserving. You got to give Washington their props. I mean, they went undefeated and beat some big teams and some really good teams in the process. I know if you're thinking about this, oh well, Florida State went undefeated, but Florida State didn't really play a hard schedule at all. I think their schedule was ranked in the 80s, so they didn't beat the same caliber teams that Washington did. So to me, one undefeated isn't the same as the other. And then we just saw what happened to them. I mean, I know they had a lot of opt outs, but I mean, you lost by 60, right? Georgia, you lost by 60. I'm not going to say that's just opt outs. Let's just call it what it is. A lot of teams have opt outs, they didn't lose by 60. But anyway, so getting into this, you got, I think these are going to be two great games. I think these will be two great games. Let's talk Michigan, Bama. You know, Michigan, they've got that revenge factor going in, right? They didn't play Bama last year in the playoff, but they're in the playoff last year and they lose to TCU in a wild game. TCU, which embarrasses them, and it's more embarrassing when TCU goes to the national title game, plays against Georgia and gets demolished. And that makes you even look worse. Like you lost to this team. This is the team you lost to. So Michigan, they got a lot to play for in the sense that you were embarrassed a year ago on the national stage. You don't want that to happen again, right? Alabama, they've come a long way since early in the season when they went on the road and lost to Texas. Remember, Jalen Milroe got benched after that, and he didn't even play that badly in the game. I told you guys that. I don't think he did play that badly in the game, and they benched him for quarterbacks that aren't even close to as good as he is. They went against USF and had a sleepy, ugly win against them. And before going back to Jalen Milroe, because he was clearly the best option at quarterback. Since then, Milroe has grown a lot. He's made some crazy, some might say miraculous plays for them. The play to beat Auburn, right? The play to beat Auburn was, if he doesn't make that play, we might have a completely different, well, we would have a completely different looking college football playoff right now. So, you know, both these guys, both these teams have something to play for. Michigan, they don't want to get embarrassed again. Alabama wants to show that this streak that they've been on, the way Milroe's been playing, that this is for real. This is here to stay, and this is gonna carry them or carry them to a national championship. So both of these teams got things to play for, but both of these teams got weaknesses. You look at Michigan, Blake the Great, right? Blake Corum led them last year. I think he finished second in the Heisman race last year. He's not been the same running back this year. This has not been the same running game this year. So Michigan's running game is going to be, or hasn't been that strong, and now it's matched up against an Alabama run defense has been a brick wall and really has kind of spearheaded this Alabama run that they've been on. Uh, I mean, all credit, offense always gets a lot of credit, but the Alabama run defense is one of the major reasons why they've been able to spearhead and get on this roll they've been on. In fact, the one game they didn't have a good game stopping the run was against Auburn, and that was a game they almost lost. So that's a key thing right there. If you can run the ball against Alabama, it's a strong likelihood that you can win this game. Also on Michigan, you look at J.J. McCarthy. I like J.J. I think J.J.'s an NFL quarterback. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that his last 3 games, he didn't go over 150 yards passing. Against Maryland, well, who does it start with? It was against Maryland. It was against Ohio State, and I'm blanking on the last one. Let me just take a look. Maryland, Ohio State. Oh, in that Big Ten title game, Iowa, right? All 3 games didn't go to over 150 yards passing. Now, Iowa, I get it, man. That's a insanely good defense. Ohio State's a good defense as well, but, didn't get 150 yards. And then Maryland, I mean, I'm not going to, Maryland's not a good defense. It's not a good team. And he had his struggles in that game, too, as far as pushing the ball downfield. And I think that's where Michigan kind of, a weakness that they do have there is I don't think they really have receivers that can really push the ball downfield. I think Roman Wilson, these guys are experienced, consistent, good college receivers. I mean, we're not talking about next level guys. We're not talking about guys who can push the ball downfield. But for their system and what they do, they've been good enough to get here. They also played a pretty weak schedule. I told you guys in the preseason video that Michigan doesn't play anybody until Penn State in like week 9 or 10, whenever it was. And so there wasn't a surprise that they were started out like 9-0 before they played Penn State. But I give them credit. They beat Penn State. They beat Ohio State. They beat Iowa. I mean, if that counts for anything in the Big Ten championship game. So they got some wins to their credit. And a lot of that has been their defense. Their defense plays disciplined, strong against the run football. It's similar to Alabama. I think this is a game when you're looking at Alabama's offense, they're not the same running game they usually are. This isn't Jahmyr Gibbs or Derrick Henry or these running backs that you're used to seeing for Alabama. Chase McClellan, right? Roydell Williams. These are good running backs, but they're not the same caliber. I'm gonna give them credit. They make plays when they had to, but they're just not the same caliber running back, right? Jalen Milroe kind of helps their running game with his wheels, and his mobility. But they're not the same caliber running game. So I think when you're looking at this Alabama-Michigan game, you're looking at 2 teams that are they're gonna struggle to run the ball against each other. I think the team that has the most success running the ball in this game is definitely gonna be the team that wins this game. But I think both teams are gonna be running the brick walls all game. So now it comes down to quarterback. Is it going to be the more electric Jalen Milroe making plays with his feet, off script plays when things break down? Can he find guys downfield? Or is it going to be J.J. McCarthy, who is, in my opinion, the more NFL ready of the 2 quarterbacks? I think he's an NFL prototype. I like J.J. McCarthy a lot. I definitely think he's an NFL quarterback. He's the kind of guy who probably will put up bigger stats in the NFL than he does in college. When he has like better talent around him to throw to, is he going to be able to come through and make the key 3rd down plays? Watch out for Colston Loveland, the tight end, big guy who's probably could be a real X factor in the middle of the Bama defense in this game. So this is a tough one to pick. And then it's 2.5. I thought this opened at 1.5 too. So there's been some money going in on Michigan, which was surprising because the first thoughts people had was, oh, Alabama's going to win this game. That's what a lot of people were thinking. Man, this has been a tough game, gone back and forth on it. I really do believe this is going to be a heavyweight fight. I would have loved this at 3 and taken Bama +3. But I'm going to go ahead and take Michigan. And I'm going to lay it at 2.5 just because I think they can win by 3. If it was at Bama +3, I wouldn't be scared of the push. And if you can find a 3 somewhere, I would. And if I could find a 3 somewhere, because I haven't placed it yet, I'll probably take that Bama +3. But right now, for this video, I'm going to go ahead and take Michigan. I'm going to lay the 2.5 just because I think they can win off of some kind of game-winning field goal. So going Michigan, laying the 2.5. Next game, Texas, Washington. Two teams. Let's give Washington some credit, man. These guys, they've won close game after close game after close game. Just to run through it. You know, they have a dogfight with USC. They win 52-42. You know, crazy shootout. Utah, they beat 35-28 as they took over in the fourth quarter. Oregon State in a rainstorm, they went 22-20. Oregon State made some mistakes in that game, but Washington capitalized. They win the Apple Cup against Washington State 24-21 on a walk-off field goal. And then they beat Oregon for the second time this year by 3, where they were able to hold on late for that win. So give them the credit, right? Give them the credit. They make the plays. Their offense, everybody knows about their offense. Their offense is very good, very balanced with the passing game of Michael Penix, the running game of Dylan Johnson, the receivers they got on the outside. Their defense isn't very strong, but their defense has made plays when they needed to make the plays, and that's why they're here, and that's why they're undefeated. They could have definitely lost several games this year, but the defense made plays when they needed to. Look at Texas on the other side. Texas, you know, they lose their Red River rivalry in a crazy game, but they've been in a game that they were the better team in. You know, they outplayed Oklahoma in that game, but that's another game where OU's defense made plays when they needed to, but Texas rang up over 500 yards, right? Texas changed up. It just seemed like it flipped a switch for them. They were able to, a game they usually would lose, to Kansas State in overtime. That was a game that they win. You know, they blew that lead. They had a big lead in that game. They blow the lead with their backup quarterback in, Malik Murphy. But they're able to make the plays to win that game late. You know, old Texas teams would have lost that game. They got the letdown against TCU, and they still win it. They go on the road against a tough Iowa State team in Ames that night, and they beat them. They crushed Texas Tech. They crushed Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game. I just think at OU, sometimes they call it the loss they needed. I think that OU game might have been the loss they needed to kind of recalibrate where they are and what they want to do. I really like Jonathan Brooks at running back, and he tore his ACL late in the season. I wish he was in this game. The spread would probably be higher because I think if he was in this game, there's a chance that Texas kind of open up a lead and open up the score against these guys. But with that said, I still think Texas is going to be able to move the ball on the ground because Washington's not very good defending the run. I think Quinn Ewers and Xavier Worthy, these guys are going to be able to make plays through the air because Washington is not that strong against the pass, though they do make some. They've made some big plays and needed moments. And on the other side, yeah, Washington's going to probably be able to move the ball through the air, but Texas has been dominant against the run this season. And I like Dylan Johnson, but Washington's not the most dominant running attack. So I think Texas is going to make Washington one-dimensional. I like Washington's balance usually. Not in this game. I think they're going to be one-dimensional. And I don't like taking one-dimensional teams. I don't think Texas is going to have that issue. I think they're going to move the ball well enough on the ground, and it's going to complement Quinn Ewers and what they're going to do through the air. And the defense is definitely going to get some stops and get the ball back in Texas's hands. I'm going Texas, and I am laying the 3.5. So that's what I'm going with. I'm going Michigan versus Texas for the national title game. Whatever the national title game is, tune in for my national title prediction video, which I'll have probably, maybe I'll have that tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. But anyways, that said, if you like the content, please like, follow, subscribe, all of that, as you'll see my YouTube handle here in a few seconds. Take care.